Survivor Series 2017. Now, I said TLC was my favorite pay-per-view of the year, and it was good, but I think this one may have edged it out. And I'm talking about WWE, not like overall pay-per-view. This was my personal favorite WWE pay-per-view of the year. This is a show that is trippy because not everything was perfect. Obviously, there are very few perfect shows out there. There's always something, that could happen, especially because it's live and, things can happen. But there was nothing here that I thought was bad. And that's the crazy part, is that not only was nothing on this show really truly bad, but most of it was pretty damn good. I mean, every single match I thought delivered on the main show, and you had two absolutely amazing matches, and you had another fantastic opener early in the show. This was a great freaking pay-per-view. I really enjoyed this show, and it really set the seeds for things to come in the future. Seriously, there were so many great matches and so many great moments, and even though the main event from TLC was just absolutely nuts and I had a blast watching it, nothing on this show was quite as good as that, but we got some really great wrestling matches. So I'm telling you right now, if you have not seen this pay-per-view, you need to go out and see this show on the WWE Network immediately. It's worth not only the $10 a month, it's worth more than that. This show was worth like a full $20 or $30 or whatever, because you got everything. A lot of the matches were predictable. That is the only thing I have to say is kind of not a perfect thing, but it was one of those things where predictability is not always a bad thing if you think the direction they're going in makes sense, and with this show it certainly did. So we opened up with the New Day versus the Shield. I really loved this match. The crowd was super into it. Everybody worked really, really hard. Really, really hard. Roman Reigns came back, really worked his ass off. Dean Ambrose, Seth Rollins all did very well, and so did the New Day. We saw some incredible, awesome, triple moves here. We saw the Big E coming off the top rope with both guys on his shoulder. I thought that was awesome. And the big finish was the triple power bomb. I loved how they teased it throughout the match, and when the Shield hits that move, it's over. But they teased it, and it was blocked by Big E. But then later on, as for the finish, they hit one from the top rope. That was freaking awesome. Kingston, Woods, and freaking Etor, bro. Big E were in there, just mixing it up, really, really working hard. Just a great and a perfect opener. I know some people are saying, why do they have Roman jerk the curtain? I think it makes sense to have Roman jerk the curtain because the Shield is super hot. The Shield debuted at Survivor Series about 5 years ago, and it was a good, solid way to open the show. Plus, you had bigger things coming up later on. Then they had the SmackDown women's match, the SmackDown versus Raw women's match. Now, I thought going in that there was no way that Asuka was going to lose this match. Either she was going to get counted out or DQ, but she's not getting pinned here because they're keeping that undefeated streak gimmick going. Well, that's what it was. So, I mean, she won. Asuka was the sole survivor. Again, the girls did pretty well here. They had a lot of chemistry. There were some things that I thought were a little bit wonky, though. It was kind of weird that, basically Nia Jax was counted out, and then later on in the main event, they forgot the rule and didn't count out Braun Strowman. But was Braun Strowman even legal? I mean, at one point they made it seem like he was, but then he wasn't. That didn't make any sense. We'll talk about that later, but the women all worked well, and the thing that really surprised me, but at the same time it really didn't, was Becky Lynch was the first one to get rolled up by Bayley, but then Bayley got pinned by Tamina, and that was interesting because I knew that they were teasing a Bayley heel turn, but it looks like Bayley's just not getting pushed anymore. I mean, it's just obvious at this point that Bayley's just not what they see in her anymore unless they're going to turn her heel. I'm not really sure. But the match was pretty predictable, but it also made sense because if Asuka's going to be the next big women's star on Raw, she's definitely going to go after Alexa Bliss soon, maybe even at the Rumble or at WrestleMania. It makes sense to protect her, and I think they're going to go with this undefeated streak for a while until they find out the right girl to beat Asuka. So I had no problem with this. Not the best match, but it was still fun. We had The Miz and Baron Corbin. Now, this I really didn't care about, but I thought that this was very weird because going into the match, you would think that The Miz would be the de facto babyface because of the fact that Corbin was talking trash about his wife. And when you talk about another man's wife, dude, that's a very heelish thing to do. Corbin was just a douche throughout this whole build-up. But during the match, they had interference from Curtis Axel and Bo Dallas. So it's like, We can't really cheer a good guy who has his friends helping him and still loses, by the way, but can we really cheer the guy who's talking about the other dude's wife? Like, this was heel versus heel, and it just didn't really work for me. But the match was actually not, a bad match. The work was fine. I mean, these guys are not the best, but it was fine. It was fun to watch. I thought it was better than a lot of Corbin matches and better than a lot of Miz matches. But I was just confused about the psychology. That was very weird. Corbin winds up laying out everyone and then hitting the end of days to win the match clean 1, 2, 3. And it was the first match that SmackDown won. So at this point, Raw is up 2-1. Then we go to the tag team match, which is Sheamus and Cesaro against the Usos. Another good match. These guys worked hard. I know I say that a lot, but they really did. The Usos as a heel act, and again, this is also heel versus heel. Think about that. But the Usos as a heel act, I think, have been absolutely fantastic. They were getting so stale on TV for so many years, and once they went heel, like, their New Day feud has been absolutely phenomenal all year, and I think this, being in there with guys like Cesaro and Sheamus, who have been together for a while, I thought was really, really cool. And I thought it was interesting how they busted out the super kick party, which, again, that's a Young Bucks thing, bro. What if they sue you for that? I don't know. But I do think that in this match, I felt like the Usos were the de facto good guys, even though they were all villains. But that being said, it was fun. It wasn't too long. It was okay. 2-2, Raw and SmackDown. Charlotte, Flair, and Alexa Bliss. Now, here's a little bit of insight for you guys. This was the original planned match for WrestleMania. They actually switched Charlotte and Alexa back during the brand. Well, it was the Superstar trade or whatever it was back in April. They did that, and the idea was they would go to Charlotte versus Alexa Bliss for Mania next year. That was the original plan. They gave it away here because Alexa is probably going to wrestle Asuka. I don't know for sure, but we know that Charlotte is heavily rumored to do something with Ronda Rousey. Now, that's not 100% concrete yet, but that is a much bigger match, so I guess they felt, okay, let's just do the match now. And it was a pretty decent match. It wasn't the best match. There were a few things here and there that I thought could have been improved upon, but it was crazy because Charlotte puts on the figure eight, and the way she did it was like the best looking figure eight I'd ever seen. It was perfect because she was a little bit taller than Alexa, a little bit better. There were a lot of things in this match also that were kind of scary. Like, there was a belly to belly into the corner, which looked pretty nasty. Charlotte went for a moonsault from the top. There was a lot of good stuff here, but I don't feel it was WrestleMania level. But that's okay because, number one, this is not WrestleMania, and number two, they can always come back and do the rematches later on. So this feud between Charlotte and Alexa, they're not going to go on with it now, I don't believe, but in the future they probably will go on with it, maybe next year sometime, and you can always have better matches then. Then we had just awesome stuff. The best Brock Lesnar match in WWE in 2 years. Now, I love the Goldberg match at Mania. I thought it was the best 4-minute match ever. As far as actual great wrestling matches, this was phenomenal. No pun intended. Brock Lesnar, Universal Champion versus AJ Styles, WWE Champion. Really, really enjoyed this match. Lesnar threw him around for the first part of the match, beat the crap out of him, and then AJ comes back with a tremendous comeback, hitting phenomenal forearms. He did a plancha. He busted out a Lionsault. We actually saw the springboard 450. Lesnar was going to do the F5, but AJ kept getting out of it. And there was an awesome spot where Lesnar's down on all fours, and AJ hits the Pele kick all the way around to the back of his head. I love this match so much. There was a spot where AJ reversed, I think it was the F5 into the calf crusher, and wound up hurting Brock's ankle. Of course, in the storyline, he's not really hurt. And he ended up selling the knee, selling the leg the rest of the match, the calf or whatever. It was incredible. It was incredible. And then as he has him in the calf crusher, Lesnar breaks out of it by slamming his head over and over on the mat. Dude, this was amazing. Like, it was about 15 minutes, I think. I want to say it was about 15 minutes, and it was so much fun. Like, this was so awesome because AJ went in there and took it to the monster. He took it to Lesnar better than Joe and better than Strowman. Lesnar winds up winning with the F5 after reversing the phenomenal forearm. One F5, but it made sense here because the match was longer and because AJ had been beaten down more. He put a lot of damage on AJ before hitting the F5, so I thought that, unlike the other matches with Strowman and Joe, this one did not feel underwhelming at all, in my opinion. And I'm really glad they did this match because AJ and Lesnar is an absolute dream match. I don't think it was like a WrestleMania level match. I know I keep saying that. I don't want to keep comparing it to WrestleMania, but it was competitive. I still think they could do a better match. I still think they could, but it was really good, and it actually felt differently. The crowd was into everything. They really have been protecting that F5 because nobody kicks out of that F5. Ever since Lesnar put the F5 on Goldberg at Mania, that has been the motto, protect the F5. And it was just great. AJ hit several different moves, but also AJ did not hit the Styles Clash. And I feel like they could have protected that as well. And they probably did protect it because I did not want Brock to kick out of the Styles Clash. They should protect that move like New Japan did when AJ was having his run there. They should protect it. Same thing here. You know, I just really love this match. And I really wish we'd see more of this match. I want to see more AJ versus Lesnar matches. Again, this is my favorite Lesnar match since the Undertaker Hell in a Cell from a couple years ago. I think this is my favorite one. The Randy Orton one was much more violent. Dean Ambrose one at Mania wasn't that great. It was alright. The Goldberg one was fun, but this was just a great fight. And I do wish it would have been a little bit longer, but it was still fantastic. But speaking of long, the main event, SmackDown versus Raw men's match. Kurt Angle, Triple H, Braun Strowman, Samoa Joe, and Finn Balor against Shane McMahon, Randy Orton, John Cena, Nakamura, and Bobby Roode. There are so many people in this match, so many huge stars from so many different companies. If you're a hardcore wrestling fan, you know what I'm talking about. How many Ring of Honor, TNA, and WWE and New Japan guys were in this match? You know, obviously Balor, Prince Devitt, huge run over there. Nakamura, huge star. Kurt Angle and Bobby Roode. These guys main evented so many Bound for Glories. Kurt Angle and Samoa Joe had one of the best feuds in the history of TNA. You know, so many different companies and different angles, no pun intended, being brought in here. We saw John Cena and Randy Orton working together, which is always fun. They had the longest feud in history at one time. We saw Triple H and Randy Orton have their little mini feud again. You know, what they're bringing up like classic feuds from the past. You know, Kurt Angle and John Cena had a great segment in the middle of it, and they had Angle and Shane McMahon had a great segment. Now, there were a few things in this match that completely shocked me, but one of the problems with the match, now I love this match, but there was a problem, is that there was a point in this match where nothing made any sense. There was a point where the referee lost control and guys were coming into the ring that weren't legal, getting the pinfall. Strowman, you know, pins a couple dudes without even being the legal man. Then they go outside and John Cena and Randy Orton, they lay out Strowman for a little while, right? And then, like, I'm thinking they're going to count him out, but he wasn't counted out even though he was a legal man. So it's like, are they doing lucha rules where you don't have to tag? That was a mess. That was a complete mess, and I think a lot of people were confused, and it was a confusing match. It really was. That's something they should have fixed because the rules just didn't matter here. Like, it didn't matter. And there were a few different storylines here they try to get over. Now, one thing I loved is that early in the match, they're teasing like a Finn Balor Nakamura match because these guys both work New Japan. And the crowd went nuts for it. They tagged Nakamura. And what made me laugh is early in the match, I'm watching John Cena. And John Cena's like sitting there popping like a damn cheerleader to see Nakamura versus Finn Balor. I thought that was a nice touch that John Cena is still kind of a fanboy for some of these guys. And then we saw Triple H and Nakamura. That was fun. Then we saw an awesome Triple H and Bobby Roode exchange where they both hit the belly to belly on, or not the belly, I'm sorry, the spine buster on each other, one then the other. I thought that was just so much fun. I'll get to like what storylines they're building here in just a moment because there was actually about 4 different angles that are going to come out of this match. This is good booking. When WWE can do a multi-man match and then you actually are building 2, 3, 4 different storylines for after Survivor Series, that's the right way to do Survivor Series. Same thing with Royal Rumble. When you have 30 guys in there, if you leave the Rumble knowing, okay, this guy has a problem with this guy has a problem with that guy, you can build matches easily. Like, these matches are so easy to do, and there were several storylines coming out of this, which I'm going to get to here in a minute. First of all, Strowman pins Nakamura. First elimination. Kind of sucks that Nakamura was the first one out, but I'm not surprised. Then Bobby Roode got also pinned by Strowman. Strowman got 3 eliminations. Strowman got 3 eliminations, the most eliminations of anybody, because that's the guy they're pushing. Then Cena, this was kind of weird. So they had Cena and Samoa Joe, which I thought was cool. Cena and Samoa Joe came up together in UPW. These guys started in the same wrestling camp. So there's a lot of history between these guys. A lot of history. They had a fun little exchange, but not as good as I wanted. Cena ends up hitting Samoa Joe with, I think it was 2 AAs. It was an AA, a double stomp. No, it was 2 AAs, I think, and he pinned Samoa Joe. That's probably not over with yet. And then they had an awesome spot where Randy Orton catches Finn Balor in this awesome freaking RKO. Finn Balor spins in the air and gets the pin there. And the biggest shocker to me was that Kurt Angle pinned John Cena 1, 2, 3. I couldn't believe it. They had an exchange. We saw an Olympic slam, then the double stomp from Finn Balor, then another Olympic slam, and Kurt Angle covers them 1, 2, 3. I could not believe that John Cena lost to Kurt Angle. And I'm wondering why John Cena lost to Kurt Angle. I'm thinking it's because maybe it was like a thank you because Kurt made John Cena, and now that Kurt's back, maybe Cena's like, you know what? Let me put this guy over because he made me. Not just in 2002, but if you remember, in the 2005-2006 feud with John Cena and Kurt Angle, Angle really did a great job in getting John Cena over. And that was during Cena's first title run. So it's good that Cena, I think this is what happened. He came back and decided to put Kurt Angle over and put him over clean. That's what wrestling should be about, because Kurt Angle beating Cena after Cena got hit with 3 finishers, that's not bad at all. That does not hurt John Cena. It makes him look pretty strong. He survived 2 Olympic slams and the double stomp. I thought that was, really good. I thought it was great. I was so shocked that Kurt Angle defeated John. I was marking out. I was legit marking out. So the finale was Triple H, Strowman, and Angle against Shane McMahon. Then what happened is right before then, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn attacked Shane, and then Shane came back with chairs, and then Orton came out and RKO'd Owens. Now, it was cool because, as you can see right here, they're still building up that Shane versus Kevin Owens feud, and it looks like what we might get is we might get Randy Orton and Shane against Cena and Generico, or Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. I'd be okay with that. I think that's a great, secondary or maybe even main event of the next pay-per-view. I'd be fine with it. That's cool. And so that's one angle that they're going to keep pushing, after this show. Then you have the finale here. So Angle and Shane are going at it. Angle's about to win. Triple H comes in and pedigrees Kurt Angle and then puts Shane on top. 1, 2, 3. Big turn. Now we're thinking, okay, is this dude Triple H defecting over to SmackDown? Would he really betray his wife? Is his wife planning something with Shane? What's really happening? Because after Kurt Angle got pedigreed, Triple H is right next to Shane, and they're teasing that Triple H is going to join Shane. They were teasing that. Now, the planned match for WrestleMania right now is Triple H against Kurt Angle. So I'm guessing at some point, Jason Jordan's going to get involved and probably want to fight Triple H, and then Triple H is probably going to lay him out, and that will lead to Kurt Angle and Triple H at Mania. I think that is the plan, and this match really solidified it because he pedigreed Kurt Angle and let Shane pin him. But then what happens is Triple H picks up Shane, pedigrees him, and gets the 1, 2, 3, and the storyline was Triple H's ego is so big, and again, this all plays back to 2002-2003 Hunter, how the dude had a rep for having a big ego. Triple H just playing around with the fans because he wanted to be the one to pin Shane and win it for Team Raw. He wanted to take credit for it. So he pedigrees Shane, pins him 1, 2, 3, and then Strowman is on the corner just staring at Triple H, just looking at him, right? And Triple H is like, you and me, brother, you and me. And then he brings Strowman in the ring. So the sole survivors were Braun Strowman and Triple H. So Strowman has this awesome, confused look on his face. And it makes sense. The character of Braun Strowman was confused. What the hell is Triple H's motive here? He almost lost it for them in a way. But he had it under control because it was all planned. And Strowman's in there. And this was so awesome. So Strowman grabs Triple H by the throat after the match. And he says, if you ever screw me over, I'll finish you or something like that. I'll end you. And then Triple H, as Strowman turns around, tries to pedigree him. Strowman blocks it and then power slams him twice. The show ends with Braun Strowman ripping off the Raw shirt and raising his arms in the air. I love the match. I thought it was amazingly fun. Not as good as last year's Survivor Series match, but I really liked it. And I love the fact that Strowman is the last man standing here. Like, even though Triple H and Strowman were the winners, Strowman is the dude who left everybody else laying, and he got the most eliminations. So that is the guy they are pushing. At this point, I think WWE should probably shift directions, and I think that Strowman, not Roman Reigns, I think Braun Strowman is the dude who they should probably crown at WrestleMania 34. He should be the guy to beat Lesnar. That's the way I see it right now. I think you could do Lesnar versus Strowman at Mania and then do the Shield breakup and do the three-way Shield breakup. Roman against Seth against Dean. I think those two main events plus Kurt Angle and Triple H, you've already got a great show. Plus the possibility of AJ Nakamura at Mania. They could do that. They could do Bobby Roode against Randy Orton or Kevin Steen against Randy Orton, Kevin Owens. So many good matches they could do. Great show. Really planned the seeds for the future. Brock and AJ was awesome. Brock's being super protected. So is Roman Reigns. So is Strowman. Still, I think they're doing a pretty good job right now. I really like what they're doing with the company. I look forward to seeing where they go in the future. The next Raw pay-per-view is not until February, so we're going to have that weird kind of, I guess you can call it the treadmill season where Raw just does whatever. But I do hope we get some good matches. Like, I want to see more of Braun and Kane, finish off that feud and maybe do some more stuff with the Shield and maybe the Miz's crew and do more of that. I don't know what they're going to do, to be honest with you, but it looks like that's the direction they're going in. Again, satisfying main event and really built up to the future. What did you think about Survivor Series 2017? It was not the best show ever, but I think it was my personal favorite show of 2017. So many great moments, so many great interactions with top guys. Brock Lesnar and AJ Styles, the Shield against the New Day. Really enjoyed it. Let me know what you think. I loved it. And I look forward to seeing where it goes. Thank you so very much. And I just want to say that sometimes wrestling has problems. Sometimes it sucks real bad. But it really does seem like now they are shifting gears and going in a good direction. They're listening to the fans. They move some matches around. They put in Cena and Triple H and Angle in this. Legends. They got new guys like Bobby Roode and Nakamura who may have been eliminated early, but they still looked good being in there with those top guys. Fantastic. Thank you. Talk to you soon.